When you hear the word chocolate, you probably think it's just a regular sweet. However, that's not true at all, because it's one of the most complex and delicate products that created man. His story counts millennia, and each stage of its production is critically important chemical and physical process. If at least one of stages will violate it, the final product may become simply inedible. And all this magic starts in the tropical zone, on a tree cocoa. To get a chocolate bar, many processes are carried out, and the first of them is collection harvest. Cocoa beans are growing inside large melon, like fruits that hanging straight from the trunk. Collection must be tame and very selective, because fruit, they don't ripen at the same time. Worker plantations cuts off only perfect ripe fruits, after what they're split. Inside the fruit is sticky, white, sweet pulp in which raw, bitter fruits are drowned. Cocoa beans are the basis of everything future chocolate. On this stage, the beans are absolutely nothing like the chocolate that we know and love, and here it is. Here it begins first, most important, but invisible to the consumer process that defines taste chocolate. It's called fermentation. Immediately after extractions from the fruit beans, along with the remains of white pulp, collected and placed in wooden boxes, covered banana leaves, or simply piled in heaps. Pulp begins to ferment, and the temperature inside the box rises to 45, 50 degrees Celsius. This warmth and acidity, they kill embryo inside bean. What is critically an important step. In the process, fermentation, which lasts from 5 to 8 days, complex chemical connections inside beans disintegrate, and those same ones will be formed. Predecessors, taste, and aroma. If fermentation passed, no good, there will be chocolate, have unpleasant, sharp, rubbery taste. But if she passed perfect, beans acquire deep, brown color and potential for making great chocolate. After fermentation, beans necessary, dry them. Spread in a thin layer over large areas, tropical sun. Drying takes near weeks and reduces humidity beans from 60% to a safe 68%. This stabilizes beans and prepares them for a long time transportation. And only after this, having passed through two critical climatic processes, fermentation and drying, the cocoa beans are finally ready, go out into the world, to the chocolate factory, where they will be committed real engineering alchemy. So, having completed the first path, beans arrived at the factory, but they are still bitter and contained in a tough husk. Therefore, the first business beans thoroughly cleaned and sorted to delete any remaining debris, stones, or low-quality copies. Next stage, roasting it, is also called rotting ohm. This, the process for chocolate, is as important as roasting for coffee or aging for wine. Roasting is the moment when aroma finally begins to awaken. Beans fried thoroughly controlled temperature from 100 up to 150 degrees Celsius for 30 to about 90 minutes. Exact temperature and time depend, of course, from the very varieties beans and desired final taste chocolate. When roasting from beans is being removed, remaining moisture is destroyed, latest microorganisms. But the main thing, is that they happen complex chemical reactions, namely reactions Maillard, which create hundreds of volatile aromatic connections. Roasting gives chocolate its classic notes range from nutty and caramel to berry and spicy. After roasting, beans should be fragmented. Special, not only they break brittle, fried bean, but also separate its outer husk, which is called cocoa shell, from the internal and nutritious parts, cocoa nibs. This is the grain pure, 100% basis for the future chocolate. Also husk usually used for compost or animal feed. After this, the cocoa nibs are sent to the very amazing stage, grinding and conversion into cocoa mass. Cocoa nibs are approximately 50% from cocoa. Butter is a fat that at room temperature is in solid condition. When the grains are ground in special stone millstones or steel mills at high speeds, Heat and pressure generated transform solid pieces into runny, hot liquid. This liquid, it's called cocoa mass or cocoa mass. This is 100% pure, dark chocolate, the basis for all subsequent products. I want to draw your attention to the fact that it is on this stage. Wait, maybe be divided. Part her is being sent under powerful press for selection. Cocoa butter, the solid residue, is used for manufacturing cocoa powder, and part remains for production. Tiled chocolate. Thus, the path from bitter, raw bean to a fluid cocoa mass is a journey full of controlled heat, pressure, and awakening aroma, as a result of which is born Heart Future chocolate. And that's when we created cocoa mass, a bitter but aromatic base. Now the high phase begins fashion chocolate production, where raw pasta turns into that most glossy, melt-in-your-mouth delicacy that we love you so much. How you remember, cocoa mass is 100% pure, but very dark chocolate, which has grainy, coarse texture. The first thing that happens to it is mixing and refining. Here in the game, enter other ingredients that determine final type of chocolate. For dark chocolate, add only sugar, and maybe a little cocoa butter for better fluidity. For milk, chocolate adds sugar and dry milk, or sometimes condensed milk. That gives to him famous softness and creaminess. All these the ingredients, along with the cocoa mass, are sent to huge mills where it begins refining. They're grind between heavy rollers. The purpose of this process, reduce size particles to microscopic level so that our language didn't feel it anymore. Graininess, then smaller particles. The smoother and more luxurious, there will be a chocolate texture. Now I propose to move on and consider the next, and perhaps the most mystical stage, conching. Conching is a special machine that represents by yourself a huge tank with powerful rollers. Chocolate paste is loaded into the concha and mixed at a constant, controlled pressure, temperature during tens hours and sometimes several days. Conching performs 3 critical tasks. Firstly, it continues round-off particles, making the texture even more silky. Secondly, the most important core, it evaporates unwanted, volatile acids and bitterness that preserved after fermentation and roasting. This cleanses taste and makes it softer. Thirdly, friction in the cone evenly distributes cocoa butter throughout mass. Exactly. Thanks to conching, chocolate acquires mind signature, long, pure, and noble taste. If process conching was shortened, chocolate will have sharp, sour taste, and rough texture, which of course we wouldn't like. You might think that we could already pour our chocolate into molds, but this is not so, because before that, it must be tempered. This most precise and delicate process, tempering, is a strictly controlled cycle of heating, cooling, and again heating. It is necessary in order to molecules cocoa butter lined up into one stable, crystalline form wunderbar. And if chocolate is not tempered, it will dull, crumbly, and quickly will be covered white raid, a kind of fatty bloom, which does not spoil taste, but it makes it unappealing. Of course, that's right. Tempered chocolate is glossy, shiny surface, characteristic click when breaking, and ideal ability melt in your mouth, not in your hands, because its crystalline structure is stable. I hasten to disappoint you that even after conching and tempering, chocolate weight not a tile yet. On this stage is happening the final act of differentiation by type. If we do dark chocolate, then after additions, sugar, and possibly additional cocoa butter, the mass is ready. But for milk chocolate is added significant quantity dry milk, which gives to him cream color, soft taste, and famous melting texture. And for white chocolate, they take only cocoa butter and milk powder, completely excluding solid cocoa particles. That's it. The main secret, white chocolate is essentially the fat of the cocoa bean, sweetened and enriched with milk, to guarantee ideal fluidity and ease work with tempered mass, often added to the mixture, tiny quantity. Lecithin is often soy or sunflower. It is worth noting that lecithin is emulsifier, which helps evenly distribute all fats and solids particles, reducing internal friction. It does process mold casting more stable, and allows to manufacturers a little save on expensive cocoa butter. This final stage, mixing critical to obtain standard, predictable quality mass product. And that's when ideal, tempered, and homogeneous. The mass is ready. It is a scent for final bottling. Her pour into pre-prepared forms, subjected to vibrations to delete the smallest bubbles air and make the tiles perfect smooth, and sent to a cooling tunnel. And precisely fast and controlled cooling locks the cocoa butter crystals in their stable form, guaranteeing that most glossy glitter and famous a crispy click when breaking. After with all this done, the tiles are finally ready to be packaged and sent out into the world, completing mine a multi-month journey from tropical fruit to finished delicacy. That's how it is today. We saw that chocolate is not just a sweet product, but a triumph human mastery over nature. This is long, multi-stage process that starts with bitter, nondescript seed and ends exquisite, a delicacy that literally melts in your mouth. The whole secret of chocolate lies in two key things: temperature control and patience. Fermentation. The product awakens the taste. Roasting reveals it. And conching is that many hours meditation that removes all the roughness and acidity, making the texture silky and smooth. And finally, tempering is the final, precise touch that gives us that very one glossy surface and characteristic click when breaking. As a result, as we learned today, each tile is the result of a complex process, chemical engineering, where correctly constructed crystals, cocoa butter, give us this unique feeling melting. Chocolate is a perfect example of how bitter raw materials, after passing through fire and water, are transformed into the purest pleasure. This is our ancient elixir brought to modern perfection. So I suggest everyone enjoy their chocolate bar, knowing how it was made.